is new car day. We're heading to HROwen Lamborghini Hatfield to take delivery of my friend's Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato. Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel. Now I might not currently own a Lambo, but I am not saying no to joining my friend for the collection day of what is believed to be one of the highest, if not the highest, ad personam specs that Lamborghini have yet built on a Sterrato. Here at the Museum, of course, we do have another friend's Murcielago SV, my holy grail of Lambos, which looks phenomenal. The Sterrato is a slightly different car to that one. And today we're going to head over to the showroom, pull the covers back, reveal the car, take a full look around the spec, and I cannot wait. Let's do this. My friend who's buying the car that we are about to collect has a garage with some very nice Lambos. We're talking Ultimate Roadster, SVJ Coupe, and tons more. But we actually joined him for delivery day at the end of last year of his Huracan STO 60th anniversary. Now, Lamborghini only made a handful of those to celebrate 60 years since they were founded back in 1963, of course in 2023, and his car looked amazing with some very nice ad personam details. But I think when you start getting carried away with those kinds of things, it's easy to push it to the max, as you're going to see with the spec of the Sterrato today. Let's talk about the Sterrato for a moment. If you're not familiar with Lamborghini's jumping supercar, we're looking at you, Mark McCann. The Sterrato is limited to 1,499 cars. It has a V10. It is based on the Huracan supercar platform, except you can take it down dirt tracks and a bit of off-roading. It's a crazy thing. I actually went with another very close friend of mine to take delivery of his military green spec Sterrato, back one of the first to arrive in the entire world. I drove one not too long ago as well with my friend Solomon Drin with Alejandro out in California. But today's car takes the spec game to another dimension. I can't wait to get over there. We're going to be heading in, well, one of the Shmeemobiles, we need to work that out, to go and take delivery of this. Before we go anywhere, a bit of an update on what is coming next, because I'm about to be embarking after one more update with my Porsche 914 at Yorkshire Car Restoration for an epic adventure. An adventure with the AMG GT Black Series to go chase the snow. A snow tour, a Where's Shmee winter tour with many thousands of miles through many countries around Europe. Now, this car is the one that I have traveled with the most around the world. It's been to the Middle East in the UAE, out to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's been out to the United States, and I drove it 14,000 miles around about 30 states across the country on the journey of a lifetime. Well, its next outing is going to take us up to Scandinavia. But before that, we've got a lot of the southern parts of Europe to cover as well. You might be guessing where we're going with this. We've fitted the Soto Zero winter tyres recently at Whoops We'll Fix It. We've just done the wheel swap because I've actually got two sets of wheels for this car. So they are now on it and ready. But the reason for choosing the GT Black is that out of all of my cars, there aren't many that tick the boxes this does. And by that I mean a supercar that is incredibly rare, a car that can go and smash lap records, as Mercedes-AMG did at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but also carry a whole lot of luggage. You can fit a couple of trolley bags and some soft luggage in there as well. Plus, the reliability of this thing. Remember, we upgraded it at Opus. It's running 850 horsepower, 120 more than standard with sports cats to sound amazing as well. And yet, it's never thrown an error at me. I'm sure that's coming, and I've had plenty of windscreens and I've had plenty of punctures, but those are, let's say, consumables. That's okay, that's okay. Fingers crossed it's going to go without a big hitch ahead of us, but big plans on the road in this coming right up. I've come into the lounge because I want to show you something to do with this view. The view of the Halo Bay, where we have Super Shmoo the cow on my new table football, which is currently with its very convenient tabletop. But these are not in their final position because they obscure the view of the glass behind. The magical glass, the ESG switchable privacy glass, which at the press of a button, or if you speak by voice, can go frosted with a projector behind and becomes a big screen for us to view here in the lounge to watch motorsport, football, or even Mark McCann when he's jumping his Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato.
Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
But also in connection with that, I have received this box from Razer. This is the new Razer Blade 16 Automobili Lamborghini Edition high-end gaming laptop, which is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, let me just open this to show you what is inside. Take a look at that. Now this can be hooked up to the glass, where of course it can then be used in connection with that, but I want to get it out of the box to show you what we have here exactly. Come and take a look at this thing. The stats and performance of this is out of this world. In fact, open it up. We have a 16-inch 4K display. If you put it in full HD, you can have 240 Hertz for gaming. It's also powered by the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090, which is off the charts. We've got the 13th gen i9 as well. Plus, come and take a look at this as it boots up. The Lamborghini connections. This thing is seriously swish when it comes to laptops. The power and the capabilities for video editing, for gaming, or in this case, for using this with its revuelto backdrop to be set up to the screen. So I can plug this into there and game, edit, whatever it is, on the entirety of this window. I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll pop the link and information down this below. Big thanks to Razer for firing it over in our direction. It is a very, very cool looking thing, and I can't wait to start using this a little bit more. For now though, let's get cracking on. The plan for right now, as much as I would love to drive Richard's Mercy SV, we're going to save the first drive in that until better weather in the spring. What we are going to be doing is heading over with the Purosangue, because I actually need to drop this car at HROwen's Ferrari dealership. After I took delivery back in November, I immediately threw over 3,000 miles on it, driving it on a road trip down to Maranello. There were one or two little things that need to be looked at, and I've not been very organized in getting those arranged. So we're going to go and drop it off today with them, which conveniently is right across the road, and double conveniently means I can drive in a V12, which I'm not complaining about, because that is the whole point of this thing. It is infinitely cool. So I suppose we should gear ourselves up, go get a nice cold start of this while we're here, and then head on over and go get ready to see what this Sterrato looks like. Can I just say for a second, this car is genuinely lovely. It is a phenomenal thing to drive. I haven't driven it for basically 2 months. When I got back after driving so many miles in such a short period of time, I kind of retired it, hibernated it, you could say. Obviously we are in the United Kingdom, so it is drizzly and slightly wet, and winter here is very textbook. Plus I know as Brits, and as a Brit, I love to talk about the weather. It is basically what we do. But driving in the Purosangue, aside from the fact that it's a very big thing, you are conscious of the size. Obviously it's a lot taller than the GTC 4 Lusso was, but it's also got a very big footprint. So you're aware of that. You're acutely aware of that on the road. It just feels like such a high-end, premium, incomparable car. It's the sense of everything you touch and feel, right? Everything is very Ferrari. The highest quality leathers, the materials, the way it's presented. Very Ferrari in its design and its layout and its style. And then, of course, if you turn it up into race, if you drop it into manual, maybe I should pop the window down ever so slightly, and we'll probably go and find the tunnel in a second. Start dropping the gears. That gearbox and that sound, you can probably tell I really quite like this car. I don't want to run it literally as a daily. I don't see it as a daily car. At the end of the day, it is a £400,000 Ferrari. That is not the kind of car that you literally just use all the time without concern. Because if you do crack a front bumper, it's still a Ferrari front bumper, and that will carry a very high price tag, and you don't necessarily want that kind of thing to deal with. But as a car, to take on runs, errands with a group of people, going somewhere nice, there aren't many things that can match to this. And I know we're going to Lamborghini right now. Well, we're heading to Ferrari first, and then to Lamborghini, and there is that debate of Urus Performante versus Purosangue, and they're not the same thing. They're just not the same thing. This dynamically, and the way I've described it, is an 812 that just happens to be a little bit taller and have a little bit more space. It feels like a proper Super GT. It doesn't feel like a front-heavy SUV, and if you look at the even weight balance statistics, this is so much closer to the perfect balance than, say, the Urus. The Urus is significantly more front heavy, given it's got a twin-turbo V8 lump hanging out over the front, whereas this has the V12 sitting behind the front axle. Behind that pretty long hood bonnet, but not as long as on the Lusso or on the 812. The 812, and I think that's obviously down to the design, because the glass reaches so much further forwards in front of you as well on here than it did on the previous cars, and having had the FF and 2 Lussos, which I've obviously spoken about far too much, this just feels so much like the next chapter in that lineage. The 4-seat, comfortable, practical, slightly more usable, but not off-road cars. And I think this is something we've all lost tabs on a little bit with the 911 Dakar, the Huracan Sterrato, and the Purosangue, in that these are all still road cars. These are not off-road cars like a G-Wagon and a Defender. That's not what they're for. What they are for is to slightly widen the capability of what you can do with your otherwise sports or supercar that is fundamentally for the road, especially, as I discovered with Alejandro, driving in California where you have horrible dips into every driveway and you have nasty roads and damaged tarmac everywhere, and here where you have potholes aplenty. The Sterrato is fantastic for that kind of environment because the ride quality just makes it the ideal road supercar. Now, there are things that you just get used to the more time you spend driving something like this, like the indicators on the steering wheel, and to me it's all second nature because I've done so many miles in the SF90 and starting to pick up the miles in the 296. I would have loved it to have wireless Android Auto. When I drove the original test cars, we thought that it would come with wireless, but it needs to be wired for Android Auto. It's wireless for Apple CarPlay, so that's a minor inconvenience and irritation. But I'm coming this way because up ahead of us is the famous tunnel that I love going through. And given I'm not driving the car back home, the tunnel is kind of halfway. If you're coming back from here, you'd come through it, but going in this direction, you'd normally come off just before. I'm going to overshoot the junction because, let's be real, who doesn't want a bit of screaming V12 to liven things up? In fact, on here, I can go back to the main rev counter. The gearbox is just perfection, and the system that they've clearly engineered for the sound in the cabin is really, really epic. I'm going to go to the left lane, slow it down. Thankfully not too busy right now. Second gear. The perks of a fully run-in car. I tell you what, people are asking constantly about getting an exhaust for this thing. Gosh, he's on it. I know it could be louder, but trust me, it's not bad. The sound in here is not bad in the slightest. It is a phenomenal sounding machine. Hey, we've just come out of the tunnel into the sunshine. How on earth does that happen? I think you get more of the beautiful tone when you're not in the tunnel. This is an Actually, I prefer it with the window closed. The shifts are so fast. Right, we are spoiled, and I am especially spoiled driving this. But I was going to say, in a world with some of the cars that are available, that certainly I get to film and make videos with. So let's crack on, get over to Ferrari, and go and drop this thing off. Downshifts. We cruise past McLaren and Aston Martin, where of course the cars that I have from those brands get serviced. And then we've got JLR. Don't currently have any JLR products, but I do particularly enjoy how you have so many of these dealers on this site. We've got Bentley, Hennessy also, Lamborghini just tucked in behind, and then pull in here, and basically right in front of me, we have Ferrari. They're also Lotus, hence why there is a Lotus Elettra just beside me here. But we are going to be dropping this off with the guys in just a moment on that side, and then heading over to that side to go into Lambo, which makes it so easy. So let's crack on with this and get ready to head on in. Come on in to the showroom. Over here, exactly where the STO 60th was, we have the Sterrato. And just wait until we pull that cover off. But before we do, check this out. The Aventador SV. This is quite an unusual spec. Satin paintwork, one of 600 SV coupes. You've got the 1D600 plaque there in the front quarter window. This car also has the full carbon fiber roof, which is a pretty rare option. And it's not even just the roof, it's also the A-pillars, the entirety of that upper section. Also here in the showroom, we've got a bright orange Huracan Technica. Of course, the Huracan platform takes many different forms. We've got the Evo Spider here, another bright green Technica alongside. This is, of course, the car I'm going to show you in just a moment. I cannot believe the options list of this thing. At the end, we've got the Urus Performante, but come over, let's have a little sneak peek under this cover. And just mark my words, when you see the whole thing, this is going to be mind-blowing. We have, check this out, check out the paint color and look at the details. All painted accents and details around this on matte Viola SE30. Should we pull this back and have a full look? I think we should do it. The thing with this, well, there are a few things with this. Number one, it's a paint color that I nearly ordered for my STO. It's one I thought about very closely. So seeing this is fascinating. Number two, the detail, the amount of options and different things. So let me come back here. Let's do this. Let's pull the covers off. What is potentially the highest specification Huracan Sterrato out there. Check that out. This is matte Viola SE30, the color that was launched for the Diablo SE30, the 30th anniversary car, half of Lamborghini's lifetime ago in terms of being an automobile manufacturer. This is, of course, matte paint. That is from factory. It is also fully paint protected by Topaz PPF over the entirety of the car, but notice the Bronzo Serse accents and details all around, even having the painted 63 on the front bonnet. Come round, we've got the upgrade wheels matching in the same color scheme. All of the details here, again, painted. To do all of this, masked and painted. Look at this. It goes through so many different masking lines, and just think about that from a painter's perspective. The contrast roof as well, exactly the same. Around towards the back, we've got even more of these details, painted elements and accents all around the entirety of this thing. Then if we come to the inside, it continues in here, some details that just take this to the next level. Having the bronze leather inserts for the seats, adding Alcantara everywhere as well, even in the central console, having the painted start-stop flap cover to match the exterior of the car. This is, of course, a brand new car that has just arrived, but having been ordered, obviously, and built at the end of last year, 2023, it has the 60th Anniversario, the 60th anniversary plaque, which all cars that were built in that anniversary year of Lamborghini actually wear. I've only just scratched on the surface because there's even more to this. So let me show you around and point out all of the options, because it is a long, long list. I have been taking a look at the options list on this car, and I have never seen a Lamborghini with so many things that have been spec'd on it. Honestly, every single option that you could normally have. For example, this has the track telemetry cameras. You can spot the camera there up by the sun visor. It has the titanium roll cage inside. We've got the headlamp add-ons at the front. These are, of course, all factory options. It's quite interesting how you can actually cover those. Certain regions you can't legally have them, and it creates some funny restrictions. But it's when you get to all of the ad personam elements that this car becomes completely unique. Firstly, the paint color. So I considered Viola SE30, this lovely metallic pastel purple paint, for my Huracan STO back when I was doing the configuration. It was launched 30 years ago, 31 years ago, I should probably say now, with the Diablo SE30, celebrating 30 years of Lamborghini, and now it has become 60 years since the company was founded. In this case, though, finished not only in matte paint, but also with the matte paint protection film from Topaz Detailing, so fully protected over the top of the body panels, headlights, all of the exposed elements that you have around, which, of course, when you have a paint work on it like this, with some of these elements around the car, is very, very important. Now, against that, you have all of the Nero Nemesis sections, so it's standard to have the black bolt-on bumpers, but to have this A-pillar trim and up over the roof, engine bay cover, the intake snorkel, and actually also the wing that we have here, the little spoiler at the back, that is all ad personam options. So the top section is one option, this is a separate option. Also down here at the side skirts, to have this full section finished in Nero Nemesis, plus the additional painted details takes it even further. This is all painted. It's easy to do this with a sticker, which of course is the simple solution, but to have this painted completely seamless under the lacquer is a different degree of perfectionism. The same with the Bronzo Serse stripe that you have here, the pinstripe detail. Think about how this is masked to create all of those shapes and the lines similarly around the front. And in fact, I don't think I've ever seen a car that's had these done as well. Those pieces on the front splitter also finished in the same color. Come up, and again, similar story for the logo that's been painted onto the front bonnet, onto the hood there. We've got the roof rails. You can add your roof box, ski bars, bike rack, whatever it might be that you'd like to have up top. We've got the upgraded wheels as well on here, finished again in the same matching paint color to match along with everything else. Come round towards the back and have a look down below. Even here, the diffuser blades also painted with those same Bronzo Serse details down at the back to finish it off. Of course, here you've got your V10, the 5.2 litre NA V10 that makes 610 horsepower in the Sterrato to give you more than enough four-wheel drive power and performance when you're taking on the off-road, the dirt roads, whatever it might be. These things are designed for adventure, for having fun. Just look at this car though, there's so much to it. And well, let's go take a look at the interior as well. The fun of this spec continues inside. It's mostly black Alcantara, but it's when you start looking at all of the details. For example, this bronze leather detail here from ad personam, the matching, stitching, and pinstripe piping that you have as well. Come on further through, we've got the upgraded seats, which again feature these bronze inserts through the backrest and also the base, along with the stitching and embroideries for the Sterrato logo and the Lamborghini crest. The titanium roll cage I mentioned with the integrated track telemetry cameras that this has. Imagine racing this down a rally track with your track telemetry cameras rolling. I particularly like two things inside here. Firstly, the start-stop flap is painted in the satin Viola SE30 to match, plus up on the steering wheel, although harder to see at the top, we actually have a Viola SE30 12 o'clock marking stripe, which is a very, very nice detail, along of course with the bronze stitching that you can see throughout. This spec is absolutely phenomenal. Up top we've got the full Alcantara headliner, again another option. Effectively every single thing that you could add to this, the carbon fibre floor mats that you have, the carbon shell around the footwell area, and these special pads that they make. We've got the carbon twill inlays. Well, look at the air conditioning vents, for example, and the top of the instrument cluster bezel that you have up there. Everything, every single option. This spec is out of this world. It is absolutely mind-boggling. There is everything on this. Plus, I want to show you things in the front and probably the engine, even more to take a look at. Being a brand new car, it comes stuffed with goodies. I actually find this quite interesting. So pop open the front and let me show you what we have inside the fairly full storage compartment. Firstly, of course, you have a smart charger. Always need to keep these cars trickled to make sure they're running properly. That is quite interesting. We've got some number plate brackets, which I'm just going to pop to the side for the moment. Of course, you have your regular pouches inside here, which are things like your lovely Lamborghini gloves for your tyre inflator kit, should you have a puncture while you are blasting somewhere off-road. And then on the other side in here, the inflator and a little screwdriver and spanner. It's nice how they provide these in these fitted bags. Plus, beneath, we have not one, but two car covers. It comes both with this, which is your standard indoor car cover, which you know, just a nice soft black fabric cover. And then this one is actually for the outdoors, fully packaged up at the moment, so harder to show, but basically a much more solid, windproof, weatherproof cover for outside. So let me pop these all back in just for the moment. We want to make sure they obviously stay with the car. I can show you what we have in this Accessories Originali, because inside here is to do with the lights in different regions. And these are effectively the blanking plate covers, which you would put over here. So you'd unscrew this using the quite nice screwdriver they provide, or tool they provide with it, and then pop these on, screw them back in, and then you no longer have rally lights on the front of your car, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I suppose in the regions where you are not allowed to have them, it is a very good thing. But here, where you can, you're obviously going to have those lights out, open and proud, and enjoy using them. So that all comes supplied with the car. So let me close this and we'll head towards the back and go to the engine, which is of course a very big part of what makes this thing quite so epic. I actually need to turn on the ignition and then pop that open and come around and show you. Long live the V10. We know that the replacement, the successor to this car, is coming very soon, to the Huracan, but it won't have one of these. It will probably be maybe a hybridized twin turbo V8, something like that. But this is a big part of it. One thing I particularly like on the Sterrato is that they actually hooked up the snorkel. The airflow comes through here and obviously goes through here and it does something, whereas in the STO, it just comes into the engine bay. So this is obviously getting clean air from up above the car, which helps when you're driving through dust and dirt. And you need to look after that. And as always, you've got the firing order here, which you can see actually when it's closed as well. So 610 horsepower, 7-speed dual clutch transmission. And as I can tell you from driving, as I mentioned earlier with Alejandro, one of the coolest things with the car is that on normal roads, which are potholed, covered in speed bumps, rough and unpleasant, this is really good. It makes it such a daily usable thing. The Huracan always had that image, and obviously the Urus is Lamborghini's, let's say, #1 go-to daily car, but this becomes such a cool thing. And this particular example, if I can say so myself, in this color scheme, the Viola SE30 with the bronze wheels, this is an amazing car. This specification on a Sterrato, a huge congrats to my friend on taking delivery of this. It joins an epic collection, and this is one of the standout epic cars in that collection. There's even more in here that I haven't really mentioned in full. So we've got the upgraded Sensonum sound system, we've got the carbon fiber passenger footwell, the dark chrome pack as well for all of the finishing pieces. These are normally in bright chrome, the switchgear up there for example as well. On the outside we've got the carbon ceramics with the black brake calipers. I'm just trying to think. We've got the pinstripe detailing around the door mirror caps as well. Just everything that you could add to the spec of a Sterrato you find on this particular car, which is about to be taken out. It's going to be loaded up in just a second. So we'll head out, see what it looks like out in the sunshine, which we have now, which is quite a nice little break. But look at it from that angle. This thing is really, really cool. Well, that's a cold start and a half. Obviously now on the valves, but that sounded aggressive. Right, let's see this rolling out into the daylight here. Looks good, doesn't it? Of course, you can turn on those additional lights as well. Look at that. Look at that thing. Very smart. Round it comes. Nice. What a car. Look at that coming around the corner. What a cool thing. Now we just need to go and get it into the dirt where the Sterrato belongs. Oh, and the sunshine on it as well. Look at that, lovely. In it goes to the transport. HROwen Lamborghini Hatfield bring their transporter to take this off to the owner's collection. Sounds good, doesn't it? We'll need to pull off the plate that I threw on it as well. I've got to say, that makes lifting a car onto a trailer pretty easy. And you load onto a flatbed and the whole thing shuffles forwards like that. And just like that, it is gone. Trailer closed. Homeward bound in another very bright pink vehicle. In this case, our Transit Custom MSRT, the team car that we use for these purposes, and a pretty comfortable way to cruise as we head back towards the Schmuseum. We are back without the Purosangue for the time being. That's going to return very soon. Back over there. I don't know where its long-term permanent home in here is going to be, but another thing that's kind of funny you've noticed is the 914 interior setup over here. A bit of a placeholder until the car returns, but these seats have been instrumental in working out some of the history of my car. It's a very cool story. I'm going to share that with you when I've just pieced together the last couple of things and head back up to Yorkshire Car Restoration for a full update. But we've really got things coming together nicely here. I think maybe a few more classics down the line, but generally in terms of the garage, we've been talking a lot recently about the last things, perhaps not the most exciting things, but bathrooms, more electrical stuff, getting all of this side linked and finalized properly. And that's all going to happen as well over the coming months. But from now, I'm shortly to embark on a massive journey with the GT Black series. And in a way, I'm kind of slightly sad about that, not being here because we've put so much into building this place. But I'm also very excited for the new places, new ideas, and new things along the way involving this. There are going to be some mega photo shoots, some mega drives, some mega cars. Stay tuned for all of this. It's going to be very exciting. In the meantime, though, we are obviously without a Schmee-mobile Lamborghini. Maybe the Sterrato will come and visit at some point in future. Maybe another of the cars from the same collection will, of course, come by. But for the time being, we will have to, I'm going to say make do with the Murcielago SV here at the garage. I'm not complaining in the slightest. I love looking at this thing, and I can't wait to be back here with some better weather to go and take it out for a drive, because recently around here, constant rain, constant flooding. It's a disaster to take any of these kinds of cars out. You just don't want to. Even when I took out the Clio V6 the other day, slippy, and you can get it wrong very quickly in one of those things, given the way it's set up. So, alas, that is it for now. Again, a huge congratulations to my friend on the delivery of what is arguably one of the coolest Sterratos in the world, quite possibly the most extravagantly specced Sterratos in the entire world, with something around £150,000 of options on top of the base price. It is a serious car, a collectible piece, of course, as well, to go in his assortment of different Lambos. But for now, I think that is all. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me at HROwen Lamborghini Hatfield, and a big thanks, as always, to the team over there for setting everything up today. That's it for now, though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!